I had finally decided to divorce my husband. The months of lies, whispers, and secret messages had pushed me to the edge. I was packing files, collecting evidence, and mentally preparing to take back everything he thought he owned. The weight of betrayal pressed down on me, but I felt a strange calm. He had destroyed our marriage, and now I had to destroy his illusions. I never expected what happened next. A knock at the door pulled me from my thoughts. When I opened it, I found a man I had never met staring calmly at me. He introduced himself simply, the husband of the woman my cheating spouse had been seeing. His presence was unsettling, but he didn't look angry. Instead, he reached into his coat and handed me an envelope. I hesitated. Inside was a stack of papers, and another envelope thicker, heavier, almost absurdly so. He leaned closer and said, "You're going to need this more than I do." I looked up. What is this? My mind raced as he smiled faintly, almost sadly. "It's everything. $100 million. And there's something you need to know about him." My fingers trembled as I accepted the money. It was more than I had ever imagined, enough to change every part of my life instantly. But it wasn't the cash that shook me. It was the look in his eyes, the quiet conviction in his voice. I realized this man wasn't just handing over money. He was handing over truth, accountability, and a key I never knew existed. My anger, which had been focused on my husband, shifted in a single moment. The betrayal I had felt suddenly had another layer I hadn't even considered. He explained slowly, carefully, that my husband had been manipulating both of them. He had lied, cheated, and played everyone in his life for advantage. The mistress, he said, had no idea she was being used financially as well. And somehow, in the chaos, I had been the only person seeing the full picture. Every lie, every secret meeting, every promise broken, it wasn't random. It was calculated. And the $100 million wasn't charity. It was compensation for the chaos my husband had sown, and for the years he had tried to manipulate me silently. I sat down, stunned, letting the reality sink in. I had been preparing for revenge, for heartbreak, for legal battles. And now a stranger, someone I had no reason to trust, had given me everything I would need. But with the money came responsibility, insight, and a burden I hadn't anticipated. My husband's deception wasn't just personal. It was strategic, financial, and cruel. I realized that my anger had been aimed too narrowly. The real story was larger, darker, and more twisted than I could have imagined. He handed me documents proving everything: accounts, investments, secret transactions, hidden properties. My husband had believed he was untouchable. He thought no one could connect the dots. But now I could. The man who had handed me the envelope wasn't just helping me. He was exposing the full scale of deception. I understood, finally, how little control my husband ever truly had over the narrative. And I realized I had more power than I had ever dreamed. The $100 million was the key, but knowledge was the real weapon. The stranger paused before leaving, and said something that shook me to my core. He always thought he was untouchable because he thought no one knew. But truth has a way of finding the right hands. I nodded silently, the weight of the words sinking in. I had assumed the divorce would be a personal fight, a messy story of betrayal and heartbreak. But this was something bigger. It was a revelation, a chance to rewrite the story on my terms. And I realized I had finally gained the upper hand. The following days were surreal. I worked with lawyers, accountants, and experts to uncover every hidden asset. Every document confirmed what the stranger had told me. My husband's empire of lies crumbled quietly, systematically, as I took control. The mistress was blindsided. He had underestimated both of us. And I realized the irony. My husband had tried to control everything, but in the end, his greed and arrogance became his undoing. The $100 million wasn't just money. It was justice, silent and absolute. When I confronted my husband, he looked incredulous. How did you find all of this?" he stammered. I smiled, the same calm smile I had worn when I first discovered his infidelity. "I didn't," I said softly. "Someone else did. And now you're finally seeing the consequences of your actions." He faltered, realizing for the first time that his control was gone. His empire, his power, even his personal life, all crumbled in silence, leaving only his mistakes exposed. Finally, the man returned one last time, quietly nodding as he handed me a file with final instructions. "Use it wisely," he said. "Make sure he never forgets what he did." And with that, he disappeared as suddenly as he had appeared. I was left with